Welcome to What to Watch with me, Toby Earle, the show which has spent many years watching TV and had always thought it's all the screen staring which caused sore eyes and not the beehive inside our eyelids. Until we cry tears of honey, this show will speak to the buzziest stars off the most bumbling screen in the corner of the room, or in your stings. Coming up on the show today, Mark O'Sullivan and Miles Chapman, aka Lee and Dean from Lee and Dean, explain how the show's unpredictable trajectory continues and why they're ahead of Game of Thrones in screen deaths. Daisy Haggard discusses what lay at the heart of Miri, the ex-con she plays in Mystery Con Back to Life. Daisy Waterstone and Callum Woodhouse wave cheerio to the Durrells as it reaches its final series. Comedian Stevie Martin, careful, discusses the trickiness of writing an opening for her first solo stand-up show, Volume 1, and how she found a solution. And I'll give you my top TV picks of the week, the shows which, if you miss, will make you lonelier than anyone who has said they would love to watch a prequel of Grease about the summer Danny and Sandy spent together, despite all the details of that summer being specifically accounted for in the lyrics of the very first song in Grease. My dad is bigger than your dad is what I always say to guests before an interview to intimidate them. But I couldn't roll out that friendly line when I spoke with comedian Stevie Martin, as she's 1/3 of sketch trio Massive Dad. This Wednesday, though, she brings her debut solo show, Volume 1, to the Soho Theatre, and we discuss the difficulty of starting a show alone and how she solved that conundrum. Stevie, Volume 1?
Yes.
Volume 1 is quite a grand title.
It is, it's quite a grand show.
Do you say so yourself?
I actually, I didn't say it was funny. No, it is funny. It's just I put loads into it because it's my first one. So there's lots of like dry ice. There's me shooting out a skateboard. There's like lots of, I throw water around a lot. There's lots of, I've got face paint. I basically put everything into it. So I really wanted to kind of go hard. The Inception soundtrack is in there. Have you heard? Really like booming soundtrack, yeah.
What did you think you did before when you were part of a team, and what did you find out about yourself when you wrote by yourself?
That's a good question.
Did you find that you wrote differently,
I think
or you were
within the kind of trio, we each have our strengths and weaknesses that you sort of learn. Like I've got better at my weaknesses by working with them, but like my thing was that I would. Liz would be very good at structure and very good to they kind of like, well, it could go here and it could go here. And then I'm very good at just adding jokes. I just load of jokes. Like, what about this? What about this? What about this? So when I came to write my show, it was like, I couldn't start it. Like, I didn't know how to start, because I just had loads of jokes, but it wasn't like a structured, it was just loads of beginnings of different things, and I couldn't settle on one. So that's why my hour is an hour of beginnings of loads of different shows, because I thought, well, nothing overstays its welcome. It's just jokes. Like it's not, you don't learn something at the end about yourself. Like it's not, there's no message other than my favourite message, which is that like everything's rubbish and we should just go and laugh. So I just want to, like throw water over myself. Like I want to just come up with stuff that I don't have to emotionally engage in it every night. I just want to make myself laugh at how stupid I'm being, and that does happen quite a lot. Like there will be moments when I'm like, I'm like, this is my job. Like this is so stupid, and it's a nice sort of thing with the audience as well, because there's a moment in the show where they really get on. Mostly they really like. You can see them be like, oh, this is going to be really stupid. Like this is really dumb and silly, and this isn't going to be some sort of. There's not going to be a monologue at the end about and this is why we all need to. Stay in the European Union. For your first one, when you haven't figured out what your voice is and what your vibe is, just try and get them to laugh. And I think that's the best way, is just to go for it. I mean, obviously, because I'm doing a new show now, and I'm sort of now I'm adding some other stuff to it, some chatting, some points, some thoughts. Whereas I think the first one, I just wanted to see, there's so many different types of jokes in there as well. So there's like stupid visual things where I'm falling over and covered in stuff. Then there's like, wordy jokes, not any puns. I don't like puns. Maybe there's one pun. There is one pun. In the second one, there's less sketches and there's a little bit more of me sort of chatting and working stuff out. And I think there's more of a theme in content, whereas with the first one, it's so varied, which was the point. Like, it's like, I just wanted people to, if you don't like that, well, you'll like this. In the new show, I think I am very much more myself, whereas in this one, I am just a total goof. And I think I needed to do that to be like, right, well, because this is what I find funny, like just complete stupidity. I find that really funny. And then in this next one, it's sort of a mix of both.
Right.
So I think it's seeing the first one is a good taster for the second, because you'd be like, what's going on? Whereas you've already seen me get all the ridiculous stuff in the first one. So yeah.
Now for what we call WTW, PC, T, Q, O, T, every week. W. What to watch's pop culture Twitter quote of the week? What a celebrity said on Twitter this week. Here's me having to push open my broken electric gate, and all my friend can do is laugh, crying with laughter, emoji face. Tweeted X Factor judge and not George, Sharon Osbourne. On the plus side, Sharon, you could move the gate. If the mechanism was bust, that would have taken you to deadlock. The sun may be setting on the Durrells as the final series of animal and human magic plays out on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. on ITV, but Daisy Waterstone and Callum Woodhouse have inherited some life skills from the show. They explain to me what they are, and they include useful ones, such as, you know, how to milk a goat.
When I think about the series, I think of a very eccentric family who are all very different, / the same, who go about causing chaos. But actually it is about a single mother trying to bring up a group of crazy kids who she can't really control properly, you know, and her just kind of plodding along trying to figure it out, and everyone trying to figure themselves out along the way, which is an allegory for life, I think. Everyone's always trying to figure themselves out, you know, up until death, you know. You know what, I think, I've been thinking about this a lot. I think it's Margot who's really changed me. Margot is somebody who really has a bash at life, and if she fails, she doesn't care, she just does something else, you know. And I think I've really taken a leaf out of her book, and I think, you know, just be positive and be sort of, you know, if you can't do something, that's fine, do something else. And I think, and I really love that about her, and that's really taught me a lot about life and how to just kind of give it a go and not worry about it too much and just relax with it. I used to have I do still have anxiety, but she's really helped me kind of think, like, take a deep breath all the time, be like, it's fine, you know, just flow with life, life's good, you know. And she's really taught me that, which is interesting, because I didn't see that at the beginning when I was playing her. But it's been really lovely to do that, and that she's really helped me with that and overcome it as well, which is, you know, so rare. The whole company of everybody, all the crew, all the cast, the beautiful landscapes, and just all the memories we've had. I think I'm going to miss making more memories. I think that's the thing I'm going to miss. I'm going to miss making more memories. But I've still got a lot that I'm going to keep forever in my heart, which is good.
He's just up for anything, I think, Leslie, and I think that's quite nice to see in anyone when someone's just sort of quite passionate about whatever they do. It sort of makes you passionate about it, even if you're not interested in that. If you see someone else's passion and you think, oh yeah, well I'm interested now, type of thing. Do you know what I mean? Well, I think I've got a lot more stuff to put on my CV, for one thing, like sailing. I know, like disassembling and reassembling a 12-gauge shotgun, skinning and butchering a rabbit, beekeeping, milking goats. Like those are all things, like skills that I've just picked up from the show. No, but yeah, I think it has definitely educated me as an actor, because I remember in the first week I was so sort of new to the whole thing, so every sort of close-up of mine, you could sort of see me coming forward, checking for my mark, and then like looking up and sort of delivering my lines. And I think over the years I've learned how to not do that, and you know, I've just feel around, there's my mark there, type of thing. So yeah, I think you know, there's a lot of technical stuff that I've learned, and there's a lot of like amazing practical stuff that I've been able to take away. I remember when we wrapped series 4, that was the thing that I was more sort of, I guess sad about, was that you know, I was just going to miss going to work every day with that bunch of people, like all of the cast, all of the crew, the director, the producers, everyone. Just going to work in that group of people every day is just the best feeling. It's just the most amazing experience I've ever had, and that is definitely going to be the thing that I miss the most.
Please don't tell me that's breakfast.
You ring that bell, bell, shout, you yell, how you broke the spell. This is swell, you almost have a fit. This guy is scorching, I got hit. It's no mistake.
Would it be fair to say it's not going well?
Surprise.
Welcome back to What to Watch with me, Toby Earle, the show that aims to guide you through your week's viewing and give you a glimpse behind the scenes and hear from the stars. Coming up, I'll give you the TV picks of the week, which are almost as good as Gary Dolner, the editor of Fleabag, discovering his name had been smuggled into the final episode of the series via an electronic bus sign. But first, I hired in a couple of blokes to construct the next interview, but despite all their assurances, they didn't turn up. It's just typical of fictional builders. So, instead of Lee and Dean, I met with Mark O'Sullivan and Miles Chapman to talk about the return of the comedy Lee and Dean, airing Thursdays on Channel 4 at 10 p.m. When we met, they revealed how the comedy is ahead of Game of Thrones in the body count stakes, and how builders have taken to their fictional brickies.
We were watching Twitter as the shows were going out. Terrible thing to do.
Worst thing you could do.
Yeah, you know, how to give yourself anxiety. Yeah. And in that first episode, you know, overwhelmingly the comments were really positive, but there were people saying, oh, you know, not sure about this, and oh, I think this is a bit homophobic, you know, because one character in episode 1, series 1 says, I thought you was a bender. And then by the end of episode 4, when with the we had people tweeting saying, well, this show is obviously pushing a homosexual agenda, you know, and I was quite proud of all of that.
So so it's interesting, people who liked it for the sort of the crassness and the builderishness were sort of oh yeah, it's great, and then by 2 and 3, some of them were saying that's not what I expected, but on conversely, the people that didn't like it because of the crassness and builder ways of it. What am I talking about?
I don't know,
got more involved in the sort of the story underneath all of that. So it kind of put some people off and drew a new audience in. So it was interesting.
Good morning.
Series 2 finds lots of new things about Lee and Dean, certainly, but about the other main players as well. I think the sort of key word for us for this series was reversal. You know, things kind of people swapping positions almost, people finding bits of themselves that they hadn't before. So we absolutely had to sort of examine them and think what the events of Series 1 would have done to them and their personalities as well.
Absolutely, because it was such a, like you say, it was so ruinous, the end of Series 1.
I like
Collapsed. It was just such a huge sort of revelatory bomb went off at the end, and it was so public as well, and that everyone's lives have sort of been turned upside down. So yeah, I think that it was everyone has had to reevaluate who they are and what they want, and I think that's how the sort of story evolves in Series 2. So
you know, things will never quite be the same. They'll be different. Yeah, I'm trying to make that sound unmysterious, but it's difficult.
But it could be difficult in a good way, or
yeah.
So,
this is a great interview, isn't it? Hold on.
Nonsense.
I'm just going to say a series
It's
of
very hard to explain,
cliches.
to tell you the story without telling you the story. It's almost impossible.
That's the thing I'm asking.
A lot of people die.
Yeah.
I mean, I was the death toll. 700 in the first episode.
In the first episode.
Absolutely, yeah.
We're apparently just ahead of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of that, submachine guns and...
Game of Thrones, dragons and swords.
Yeah, but this is different, it's Lee and Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've just had a bit of work done in our house, and the guy was staring at me as he came in. He goes, "You're on that programme, aren't you?" He goes, "Yeah, yeah." And he said, I do worry about Lee and Dean because I do worry that people see us as you guys." I didn't have anything to say to him.
And my interaction...
I just left.
My interaction at the supermarket was interesting, that lady on the till.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just going to, she went, you're Lee, aren't you? I went, yeah, I am. She goes, no, I can't ask you this question. I went, are you gay in real life? And I went, no, I'm not. She went, I said, and she went, oh, coconut milk the curry, are you? Nice.
And now for the TV news in briefs. In This Doesn't Suck news, vampire mockumentary What We Do in the Shadows, starring Matt Berry, Natasja Demetriou and Kayvan Novak, will flutter onto BBC Two on the 19th of May. Thank goodness. And that was the TV news in briefs. Now, stop wondering which dentist this dog has been seeing to have such straight teeth, because it's time for my TV Picks of the Week. Back to life, back to reality, sung soul to soul. And that must be how Miri feels in new mystery com Back to Life, as she returns to her hometown after a long stint inside for a crime even worse than this, blending cream egg with mayonnaise. Daisy Haggard stars as Miri, as well as co-writing the series, which is available now on the iPlayer and airs tonight on BBC One at 10:35 p.m. I spoke with her to discover what's inside Miri. With Miri,
yeah,
where did the idea of someone, that's you,
that's me,
and that's her and you.
Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Well, the whole idea, I suppose, I've always been really interested in how harshly we judge a woman who's done something bad over a man, and so I was imagining what it would be like if you had done something really bad and then you went away for a long time and then you had to come back into your small town and move in with your parents and live in the town where the bad thing had happened. I sort of thought that was a really interesting idea. Like, what would that be like? How hard would that be? She's been gone for she was 19 when she went to prison.
Yeah.
And she's been in prison for 18 years.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I wrote it and I still can't do numbers.
But it's because it's very telling in that her bedroom is a time capsule.
Yeah, her parents have kept her bedroom exactly the same.
Yeah, and
Tamagotchi and all.
Yeah, and that's it. You then think, well, she's also kind of a time capsule as well, because she's never left that time and space in that bedroom.
The reality is, obviously, in prison you are still in the world. You're not out of the world. But but you're not, you're not living a normal life within society. So yes, she sort of comes back to this life, and I think she makes the mistake of thinking she can sort of get her old life back, and sort of rather naively think she can, maybe her old boyfriend who she was with at the time will be right there for her.
There are aspects of the crime which are alien to us and to the people around her. They don't fully understand what took place. There's the reported version.
Yeah, well, this is another thing I was really interested in, the different versions of truth. When anything happens, it's only really the people that were there that know exactly what happened. And so the show isn't about eking out that story to the point where you're just waiting for the last episode to find out what happened. It's about you find out, as you know, you find out what's happened, but then you might hear different versions of that. I think that there is a prison Miri, which occasionally we see moments of. And then there's Miri starting this life. I think the main thing I suppose about the show was it wanted to sort of challenge stereotypes about somebody who had a past experience or been involved in something really bad when they were young, because that happens, and people doesn't mean somebody's, well, you don't know who she is yet, but it can happen, and someone can be a very good person, but something terrible happened, or they were unlucky, or something dramatic happened in their youth. And I suppose it's more about challenging that perception and just letting her be who she is now. So we judge her on the woman she is now, not on the event.
And just finally, the casting is pretty great.
Yes, we were really lucky.
Geraldine James
I know.
was your mum.
She's for the third time, poor woman.
So what were you like on the previous two occasions of the Screen Daughter?
She was my mum in a play at the National, and she was so lovely to me and looked after me loads. And then she was my mum and uncle.
Of course.
For one episode in that, and then, but I'd always, in my head, she was always going to be my mum in this.
And is she the mother you always wanted her to be on screen?
I love my own mother. My mother's always like, oh, is it Geraldine again? Oh, Mum, I love you.
Do you write two cards at Christmas now?
Yeah, pretty much. No, I love Geraldine. She's brilliant, and we get on really well, and have a lovely working relationship. It's very easy. And everybody in that show, you know, Chrissy's a really good friend of mine as well. Adil was amazing. Jamie, I went to drama school with. Joe Martin was brilliant. I'm now going to miss people out. Richard, I mean, like everybody, and Liam, everyone was so good and so lovely to work with. It was a really happy vibe. We had a lot of giggles.
Love, honour and obey. Now, before you say I will and we accidentally marry, that's the title of this Friday night's film on London Live at 10 p.m. It would have been great, though. Sorry. This crime comedy is close to capsizing with the amount of British screen talent involved, with Ray Winstone, Jude Law, Johnny Lee Miller, Sean Pertwee and Kathy Burke, the first clutch of names you could mention before tipping over. But we don't want to rock the boat, unlike Miller, who wheedles his way into a North London crime family before kicking off with a South London mob.
2 of mine are dead, my coat's missing. What are you going to do about it?
You never told me, Johnny. You never asked me.
I just had to go and do it, do you know what I mean? I'll keep it a secret. Personally, I find that a nice little firefight sort of separates the men from the boys, doesn't it?
You can watch this stream on London Live's Twitter tomorrow at 12:30. That's lunchtime on London Live's Twitter. And that's it for this week and for the show. Thanks to all my guests and thank you very much for joining me over the years.